Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. It's Thursday night, Women's Advanced Bible Study night, the 16th of March, 2023. We'll be reading out of the book of Deuteronomy later on in the class. So I ask everybody to go to our YouTube channel, Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We got a lot of information given, and the videos connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you are hearing and receiving on the channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that I mean Tanakh and the Torah is what we deal with. Tanakh is the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. Shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our women's Sabbath class. So we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, and prayer, and Psalms. Got a little women's health moment, current events, some need to know information. And we open it up with some Q&A. Then we go into our topic, which is we'll be reading out of the book of Deuteronomy. Okay. So this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance. O Lord, we come this day praising thee and worshiping thee for thy might and thy power and thy great understanding. O Lord, the end times that you have foretold is upon us. Give us strength and wisdom to endure all that you have foretold. And thank you for another day. Okay. Oh Lord, we need you so very much in these latter days. We will tarry and depend upon you, oh Lord, because there is none else besides you, oh Lord. You are our deliverer and our redeemer. Peace be unto you. Okay. Somebody gonna read a psalm?
Yes, shalom.
Okay.
I'll be reading from Psalms, the book of Psalms, chapter 1.
Okay.
Okay. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. And in this book, reading it and researching it and studying it, it's talking about good and evil and the wicked, and if you are keeping focus and keeping your mind on the Most High, then you have chosen the good road to go down. And if you have not, then you've chosen the way of the sinner. And it says, you're not to be in that council of the sinners, because you could easily be drift towards their way. So you should take yourself away from the ungodly and the ungodly things of the world and focus in on the Most High.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Um, that's one of the things I can keep putting emphasis on is
Mm-hmm.
that uh, they make us think that, like I said, when the Lord of Hosts and these angels are talking about, and even Yahweh when they're talking about the wicked, He's not talking about somebody that sinning, breaking the law, in a roundabout way. Yeah, but He's specifically saying that it's people that came about, it's on the earth that came about. They came forth through wickedness, which is Cain's descendants that serpent
Right.
and Eve cohabitated. So my example of that was in Second Samuel. Let me get it right there. Okay. Yeah. Second Samuel chapter 7. When it says verse 10 says more Second Samuel 7 and 10. Moreover, I will appoint this is the Lord of hosts talking to Nathan today. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people, right? Israel. That's the righteous. And I will plant them uh, that they may dwell in the place of their own and move no more. Neither shall the wickedness afflict them anymore. So that's two different races of people, origins. They got different origins. So he's saying the wicked not gonna afflict them no more. The wicked is Cain's descendant, and the people that
Yes.
the ones that came forth from the giants, from the
Yes,
fallen
sir.
angels. That's what he's talking about. And so the other thing that I saw in that was that I talk about too, that I'm trying to make it stick, is verse 3. It says, and he shall, this is Psalms 1 and 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers, right? And you shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth good fruit. So this fruit right here is children, offspring. And it's talking about blessed is the man in verse 1. So this man, he shall be like a tree planted by the river of water that bringeth forth his fruit, right, in his season. So this fruit is meat children. Then his leaves also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall not prosper. So that's offspring. His leaves, children, and the fruit. Those are offspring. So go to Revelations. Like I talked about this a couple weeks ago. I'm in Revelations.
Okay. What book in Revelations?
I'm in let me get, I think it's 22. So let me find it. Yeah, 22, verse 1.
Okay, got it.
It says, and he showed me a pure river, same thing we just read over here. And he shall be like a tree planted by rivers, right? So he said, he showed me pure river of the water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and the Lamb. In the midst of the streets of it, on either side of the river, was there a tree of life, right? Which bore, see that? 12 manner of fruit. So when you understand these fruits of children, that's the 12 tribes of Israel.
Okay.
And he yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves, they're gonna leaves also of the tree that were for healing of the nations. So Israel, the nation of Israel, the Levites, and the knowledge and the law that they have is for the healing of the nations. So, I'm in Revelation, but we know a lot of this information is taken from the Old Testament and stuck over there. But that's what that is. Those 12 manner of fruit is 12 sons of Jacob.
Okay.
The tree is Israel. Right, okay. Any comments? Okay, yeah. So we'll go to read the Psalms. Oh, we got some women's health moment.
Shalom, everyone. I'm going to talk about the benefits of nuts. Nuts are extremely beneficial part of any diet, and they contain a wide variety of health benefits that includes their ability to balance cholesterol levels, increase heart health, reduce blood pressure and clots, boost the immune system, aid in weight loss, improve digestive function, um, raises the body metabolism, increase skin health, reduce the risk of cancer, helps prevent anemia, protects against viral and fungal infections, and also increase the red blood cell count. The most common types of nuts are almonds, Brazil nuts, pistachios, cashews, chestnuts, hazelnuts, pecans, and walnuts. Another unexpected type of nut is coconut, which has some unique health benefits as well. Nuts are loaded with heart healthy fats, protein, fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and so much more. They can be enjoyed whole or chopped up on food. Their healthiest is raw or toasted. Store them at room temperature or put them in the fridge or freezer to keep them fresher for longer. You can enjoy them on their own or pair them with other nutritious foods like fruits and vegetables. I'm going to read Genesis 43, verses 8 through 11. Verse 8 says, And Judah said unto Israel his father, Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee and set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we had lingered, surely now we had returned this second time. Verse 11. And their father Israel said unto them, If it must be so now, do this. Take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm, a little honey, spices, and myrrhs, nuts, and almonds. And that was the benefits of nuts.
Okay, appreciate that information. And we're gonna do some current events.
So it all began in the US. Last week, two American banks collapsed, the Silicon Valley Bank and the Signature Bank, and it's not over yet. One more American bank could be on the brink. It's called the First Republic Bank. It is based in San Francisco. It is worth almost $6 billion. The bank has around 6,300 employees and several high profile customers, but First Republic may not have enough money. Leading ratings agencies have downgraded this bank. We're talking about S&P Global and Fitch. They have downgraded the bank and now rate it as junk. You may ask why. Why was the bank tagged as junk? Same reason as before. Ratings agencies feel the bank could face a cash crunch, that depositors would want to pull their money out and the bank may not have enough to give them, which is exactly what happened at the Silicon Valley Bank. There was a bank run. Depositors rushed to withdraw cash. The bank was not liquid enough, meaning it did not have enough free cash. That's because the deposits were tied up in government bonds and their value had decreased. With First Republic, we could see a repeat of this. Experts are flashing the same warning signs again. First Republic stock price has fluctuated in the past week. At one point, it was down by over 60%. Reports say First Republic is now looking at its options. It could try to raise cash to improve liquidity. It could even look to sell the bank. And these are extreme measures. They give an indication of how much trouble the bank could be in. And this may not be a unique case.
First Republic Bank is not the first canary in the mine, but there are canaries that are now feed up, and those include things like Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and lots of worry about Credit Suisse, a storied financial institution.
Let me rephrase what he's saying. There are many banks in trouble, some more than the others. We've already told you about Credit Suisse. So who else is in trouble? Credit ratings agency Moody's has released a list. It includes Western Alliance Bancorp, Intrust Financial Corp, UMB Financial Corp, Zions Bancorp, and Comerica Inc. All these banks are said to be unhealthy. What is their problem? Uninsured deposits of customers and unrealized losses, meaning potential losses, they're still on the books of these banks. And this is just one list. The crisis could be bigger than it appears right now. And I'll tell you why I say this. American banks recently made some filings, and this is what they show. Major banks have taken some serious losses. I have some numbers. 160 major American banks have lost at least $206 billion. These are banks with more than $5 billion in assets. Every bank on this list has assets worth over $5 billion. Again, these are unrealized losses, meaning the banks continue to own these loss-making assets. They haven't been sold yet, but their value has gone down. So if they're sold today, the banks will suffer a loss. And how did these losses happen? Courtesy of the US government. These are mostly government securities, US treasuries we're talking about. These are bonds that the government issues. We've discussed this before on the show. Banks park their cash deposits in government bonds. It is considered a safe investment. The calculation is that when you sell these bonds, you will make more money. But in this case, the value of US government bonds has gone down. How? Last year, the US Treasury hiked interest rates. They issued new bonds. They offered a higher interest rate. So the old bonds lost their value. And these banks that we're talking about have old bonds. Now they're trading in the red. For some banks like Silicon Valley, the losses were simply too big. Silicon Valley lost almost $2 billion on a single sale. The bank needed this money to pay back depositors. It sold bonds for losses. So other depositors got worried. They came to take their cash. The bank did not have that cash, so it collapsed. And this fall had a cascading effect. America's biggest banks have seen losses. All of them have lost money in US government bonds. Citigroup lost $47 billion. Bank of America, $21.2 billion. JP Morgan Chase, $17.3 billion. Truist Financial lost $13.6 billion. Wells Fargo, $13.4 billion. And US Bancorp, $11.4 billion. These losses are as per the last round of filings. The present value.
Okay. Any comments on that? Sound like 2008, 2009 to me. Anybody got any comments?
It's also like the too overpromise they don't have.
Right, exactly. Right. Okay. Got one more current event.
Lose it on wage? Did we lose it on the crime? Did we lose it? Where
we lost it on trust in government and then trust in each other. We are a nastier society. We're not helping each other. Even the giving part of America is going down. It's become a surly, nasty place, and it's showing in the declining happiness. So this is quite a drama. You know.
Welcome back to Africa Zone, wonderful people in the diaspora and of the diaspora. Here I am back again with another content of video. You will love it. You will love it. This is Africa Zone for Africa to win. On this channel, we talk about the diaspora. We talk about the latest. We talk about back to Africa, the return back to Africa, including the transition, beyond the transition, and how to invest and sustain yourself as a diaspora, as a returnee back to Africa, how to sustain yourself, how to make a living, how to invest in Africa, which are the centers of investment in Africa. This is what this channel, and this is what we discuss, we network, we talk about on this channel. Today, I am here with this video to ensure that you get most of the information, you get the fullness of information of what is happening globally, why people are massively returning back to Africa, why people are setting their eyes on the great nation of Ghana, West Africa, Central Africa, countries like Tanzania, countries like Kenya, countries like Ghana, why people are returning, why the diaspora The African diaspora, those who left Africa have made a living over here are returning. The African American who have been brought over here 400 years ago, their descendants, their children, they are going back. Africans who have led the continent to the enslavement of the Atlantics, to Jamaica, to the islands, to Trinidad and Tobago, to Belize, to Bahamas, they are returning back home and they are finding peace at home. What is the reason behind it? Let us talk about it after you watch this small clip of video that will help you understand so many things that are happening. We can talk about the return back to Africa without talking about geopolitics, without talking about inserting all the reason here and there. Watch this video. I'll be back with you.
Go faster on more devices with Optimum Internet. Get 1 gig internet for as low as $65 a month. Plus, get a $300 Visa.
It's my first store. Africa's Own is now going productive. And our motto is for Africa to win. And our revenue, let you know that our revenue, the 50% of our revenue goes to helping people in Africa. The less participating in the emancipation of our continent. Thank you very much.
You can't compare Denmark with the United States, can you?
Well, you can't because the Danes are happy and the Americans are not.
But come on, it's not the same nation.
It's not the same nation, but we are sliding. That's the
Okay,
problem.
our vector is moving right now.
Boy, we are going down.
What is the key observation of this report versus last year?
10 years ago, we were 4th in the high-income world. This time, we're 21st in the high.
How did we lose that? Did we lose it on wage? Did we lose it on the crime? Did we lose it? Where did we
lost it on trust in government and in trust in each other. We are a nastier society. We're not helping each other. Even the giving part of America is going down. It's become a surly, nasty place, and it's showing in the declining happiness. So this is quite a drama. You know, the countries at the top this year, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, Netherlands, Canada way up there. But the United States in a free fall. That's the news.
All right. Jeffrey, what follows what? Does happiness lead to better GDP, or does only better GDP lead to more happiness?
Well, the bottom line is actually how do we like life? Because U.S. GDP is not a problem. The U.S. GDP is at an all-time high. We've had economic growth. We have incredible wealth at the top, but the society is not doing well. So the question is, what are we after? Are we after a GDP number, or are we after being a happy country and a decent country? And we're losing that part.
Right, but how do you fix it? And I know it's not a fix that you can just let's do this, but is it education? Is it innovation?
First, one of the dramas in the United States is the collapse of trust in government. Our politicians are liars. Our politicians are on the take. And so American people say our political system is rigged. And it is, unfortunately. It's billionaires day and night, and it's money day and night, and it's lobbying day and night, and it's not the wishes of the American people.
So thank you for continuing tuning in, and I hope you learned something from this video. America is not a great place anymore. The US is not a great place anymore. The US, the nations of the US, the country called the land of opportunity is no longer a land of opportunity. It is utopic right now. It is an utopia saying that America is a land of opportunity. Opportunity for who? For who? I've been living in this country for 20 years, and I know what I'm talking about. I am part of those that make the movement back to Africa. I am in preparation. America is not a great place to live anymore. You know, happiness stems of caring for others. Happiness stems of taking care of others. Look out for others. Cherishing others. Not entirely somebody's problem should be completely your problem, but helping others also. In American society, the gap between the rich and the poor is huge, very huge. I've been in this country since 2004. I visited here in 2002 also. But when I came to reside, it was 2004. Since 2004, I've been in the United States of America. In 2007, during Obama terms, until now, we have two recessions already. Two economic recessions. One in 2007 to 2010. And the second one has started after right in the pandemic. So within 15 years, we have two recession, economic recession. The second one is much more global, but it's affecting the way America is handling things. For those, on the other side of the world, and especially, in the motherland of Africa and Ghana, they are asking, why? What is the reason behind African Americans or the diaspora are returning massively, to Africa? Because here it's done. Here is done right now. It is done. It is done. The happiest countries after research show that Denmark is on top of the list. Norway is on top of the list. Countries like Switzerland is on top of the list. Why? When you see right now, wonderful people of the diaspora are in the diaspora. When you see right now what is happening, the war that is happening between Russia and Ukraine, it is not really between Russia and Ukraine, it's between Russia, NATO, and America. It's a NATO, America against Russia. Look at the massive amount of money, mammoth amount of money they are putting behind the war. While people are hungry here, people are suffering here in the United States of America just to feed themselves on a daily basis. The inflation is very high. The price and cost of food right now has risen up to 20 to 25%. The gas at the pump. So if you don't have a decent job, you don't have a decent employment, and this comes to widen the gap between the rich and the poor. Everything is about the rich. And it talks about people in America, the majority of people. If something is happening, when we talk about America, we are not talking about, the 99%, the population, the common American. We are not talking about the common American that make the decision. It is 1% on the top that make the decision for the whole America, the elites.
Okay. Any comments on that? Can anybody relate to that?
Well, I don't say nothing he said that wasn't true.
Okay.
I think that this country, because of the greed and the capitalism that this country is founded on has contributed to what we're seeing today. And despite the obvious signs to everybody of what's going on, the people who it's supporting in terms of, like you said, the 1%ers, their greed is blinding them to the demise of everybody else because they feel that they need or deserve or have to have all this money. And so they're just, no matter how it affects everybody else, they just keep amassing these just insane amounts of money. I remember, we never even heard of trillionaires. People mostly talked about millionaires or billionaires. The idea that somebody could be a billionaire or now, could possibly come in the future soon, trillionaires, that's unheard of. So how much money do you need in order to consider yourself wealthy?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, mhm. I
Go ahead.
piggyback off of Tasha with that, and along with how much money you need, what type of control do you want? Because the more money you have, the more control you'll have, and so they're trying to get so much money to have that control, so they can be able to control the people and have them to do what they want them to do.
It's it's
Exactly.
it's almost like they themselves want to be gods. If we think about what they did with the Council of Nicaea, all of these things to control the masses, they want to be worshipped and perceived or live like gods themselves by the things
Exactly.
that they're doing to limit everybody else, but have no limits on themselves.
Right. That's mentioned in You know, we're going over so many people here, but it's mentioned in the book of Enoch, and that's one of the reasons why that was taken out. But these people ascended from the angels, which is so-called the gods. So they think they have a right to do the thing they do to the masses of the people, because they think they different. They came from a different place than we do. It's like the so-called royal families, like the one over in Great Britain. You know, they're ascended from these fallen angels. That's what I was just talking about when he's talking about the wicked. But they got you thinking, based on Christianity, if you sinning, you know, you're wicked. But he's talking about there's some people on the planet that's wicked as hell. They didn't come from him, and the spirit that's in them didn't come from heaven. That's what he's talking about, and that's what he's talking about at the end, that he's going to destroy off the earth. Is that those wicked seeds that was placed on the earth through the serpent and through the fallen angel. Right. You got people that's righteous people that got caught up in it, but he's talking to the source, which is what these what you call invasive species that was placed on earth through unrighteousness. Okay. Yeah, so with that being said, I got some we was talking about the banks. We listened to the video about the banks, and notice they said it was 3 banks that was in trouble when it was the bank in the Silicon Valley, and the bank they called Susie Bank. Then they said the bank that in San Francisco, right? But check this out.
They heard more than 100 recommendations from a city-appointed reparations committee tasked with figuring out how to atone for centuries of slavery and systemic racism. San Francisco is considering a reparations proposal that includes a $5 million lump sum payment for each eligible Black person. San Francisco could become the first major U.S. city to fund reparations as the idea gains traction across the country. Reparations advocates say
so. This happened same time, right now as we speak. These people on the verge of cracking their egg, but all of a sudden now, the bank in San Francisco, the main bank, right? You get some?
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's official in 1865, but critics say reparations are flawed and financially unfeasible. Before today's meeting, supporters held a rally to talk about why they believe reparations are needed.
We've heard a lot of critics, and even some of you may be questioning, why would we be seeking reparations for Black San Franciscans? Many folks often say that California and San Francisco specifically did not enslave Black people. And so there's lots of history that obviously needs to be researched, and I'm putting that responsibility on all of you to do that.
Black people make up 6% of San Francisco's population and 38% of its homeless residents. Today, supervisors expressed support for reparations that were presented to them, but that does not mean that all those recommendations will ultimately be adopted. The board can vote to approve, reject, or change any or all of those recommendations, and a final committee report is due in June.
All right, for more now, we are joined by Eric Donald, chair of San Francisco's African American Reparations Advisory Committee. Thanks so much for joining us. I'd like to start off with what we're just hearing from the San Francisco NAACP, saying now that they would actually want to reject the reparations one-time payment in favor of investments in key areas of education, economy, housing, healthcare, and the Fillmore Heritage Center in the Black community. Can we get your thoughts on this new development?
Happy to share my thoughts. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to come spend a few minutes with you all. Coming to that question, I would first say this is an historic day. It's a historic moment where we are having serious, intentional, deliberative conversations about reparations in San Francisco. Short time ago, not thought possible, and yet here we are. And so, as is expected, as the committee has done its hard work, developed this draft plan that we will work to make final in June, there are folks who are bringing all kinds of points of view, right, about it. So we respect that. I'm aware of the NAACP's perspective. What I'm commenting deeply about it, I would say that represents an or context, and we are offering an and context. So we respect that the NAACP can obviously share its perspective. We as a committee as a whole don't share that perspective.
All right, so let's talk about the notion of these $5 million payments to individuals in San Francisco. You actually say this is a low figure. If you look at the totality of the harm that's been caused by slavery in this country, why do you believe that those cash payments are so crucial?
In answering that question, let me just make clear, there are 111 recommendations in the report. While I'm happy to speak to this one, I want to make it really clear, it is but one of 111, and our intention is to ensure that Black San Franciscans who have experienced significant harm over the history of San Francisco have opportunities in education and in health and in policy and in economic empowerment. And so it seems as if many read the first section of economic empowerment and stopped. There are many. In terms of the $5 million, you cannot put a price on the cost of lives lost, properties lost, stress-induced health crises, the inability to create pathways to economic agency and self-achievement. You cannot put the price tag on that. And so, yes, therefore, my point of view is $5 million is an appropriate estimation. But again, the harm is actually priceless.
You know, there are conceptual thoughts to this, right? What you're talking about is the far-reaching effects, generations past of what an entire community is dealing with. But there are the logistics of this as well. When you talk about money, you talk about conditions on how you would qualify, you talk about the expectation of how this would actually be delivered. It's complicated. I mean, trying to imagine, one, how you afford it, how you do it, how you guarantee that this money is given to the people it's supposed to go to. How far down into those weeds are you? Or at this point, are you still saying, let's consider which one of these or how many of these 100+ recommendations we can get behind, and then we'll figure out how to make it happen? Because in terms of a timeline of when this would actually come to some kind of reality, where are you in that space?
Sure, thank you. First of all, it's important to be clear on what the charge of the task force is and what we hold. Our task is and has been to chronicle the harm, research and assess what that harm is, and then assign value to said harm. That was it. It's as if our role was to be an appraisal of the harm. It was not our role, it's not our role. It is the role of the Board of Supervisors in the city to determine the path toward the enablement. That is not the task of the committee.
So we expect to interrupt really quickly. You didn't go into the saying, is this possible? You went into it saying, what do we think should be?
This is the cost, right? So we said, here's the value of the house. Now, what the market will bear, whether the market will in fact overpay or underspend, that's part of what the market will have to figure itself out. And as I said to the Board of Supervisors just today in Chambers, they own this house now with all of its good and its bad. And they have an opportunity, and I would add a responsibility, right, to, on behalf of the city, own the harm that this city has perpetrated on Black lives for its lifetime. And therefore, what can the city and will the city do now to make good on that harm, starting with an apology, an acknowledgement of said harm, and then beginning to determine what it will commit itself to do.
Okay, any comments on that? Anybody familiar with that?
I saw this. I don't know if I saw the news story or somebody sent me the TikTok or Instagram of this, but I think that one of the things, it's sort of like it's a double-edged sword. On one end, I see the value of them coming to us and asking us about this, but then it's an insult at the same time for us to give you recommendations, and then you're constantly trying to make excuses on why you can't or why you won't do something. I mean, when in the history, at least most recent history in the last 100 years or so, they've paid reparations to a number of communities. And all of this pushback on who was going to get the money, how was it distributed, and all of that stuff was not as problematic as they're trying to make it out now. Now, I recognize that, there's going to be, it's a complicated issue because of the years that have passed. Those people who have been wronged in the past, at least that we know about, or recent past, the reconciliation was resolved a lot sooner than it has been for us. But it's just, to me, I just get so bothered when they always want to come to us and ask us, well, what do we do? What do you think we should do? And then when we give you an answer, then you push back on that response.
Like that's Esau. That's how he operate. Right? Yeah, that's how he operate. Supposed to be expecting it. It's like, and then not only that, is you notice the news reporters, they feeling a certain type of way. Just asking the questions on the news. They
Right.
feeling a certain type of way about Negroes getting $5 million a piece.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, they got a real serious with that.
What I'm also concerned about is it's the same thing that happened right after Reconstruction when they the so-called 40 acres and a mule and all of the good intentions to try to reconcile a wrong. With the little bit that they got then, you look how they responded. Imagine what they would do now if each individual person would get any kind of financial assistance. They'll burn this country down.
Oh yeah. See what they did on January 6th.
Right.
Right. That spirit still lingering.
Yes. I'm concerned also, that's on the financial part, but on the part about the law and things that are criminal down in Jackson, Mississippi. The black cops can't arrest no white cops. They have to only arrest black people, and they're starting to put all their little laws back in place, per se, to start governing the people as a whole, not just now and then. This is now being the law. So it's getting crucial.
I think it's in the preparation of what is to come, though. I think they know more about what's coming than we do, and they're preparing for it.
Right, it's getting crucial.
Right, they know Revelation's coming. That's what it is. They know Revelation's coming, and they also know they have plans to get us out of here too. The ones that want to leave, so they're not too happy with that.
Yeah.
So, anybody else got any comments on that? Okay. We're gonna open it up for the Q&A, questions and comments. Anybody got any anything they want to bring to the table? They came across or they heard on Prophets of Awakening. You want to talk about? Okay, well I'm gonna jump off of last night, and then I got a video I'm gonna play about it. But anybody familiar with narcissism? You know what that is?
Yep.
What is it?
Narcissism is a psychological term that describes a type of personality disorder when a person has a tendency, in layman terms, to be full of themselves. When they have a tendency to have little disregard for anybody and for everybody else other than themselves. They are the people that they want everybody to look up to subscribe to, that everything is about them, and they have little regard for anybody else. It's general what it means in layman terms.
Yeah, that's agnostic. I'm talking about Gnosticism.
Oh, I thought you was talking about narcissism.
Yeah,
like
not narcissism. I'm talking about Gnosticism. Gnosticism.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not familiar with that term. I apologize.
Okay. It's a religion. It's a religion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a religion that came about that nobody seemed to know about. They covered it over, but Gnosticism came on the scene when a Greek philosophy and the Egyptian culture came together, and then they got a hold to all scriptures. This all happened at the same time. It was like the perfect storm. It came together in Alexandria, Egypt, these Greeks. And so this is where Gnosticism come from. And the perfect example of it is, like I said, it's in Job. But anyway, I'm gonna play this video and you should get some kind of feel for what it is. So that's like I was saying last night. These people right here, they're the ones concocted all the stuff you see when you go and do your research on Gnosticism. You're gonna see what the New Testament is. That's what the New Testament is. It came from Gnosticism. Okay.
What is Gnosticism? Etymologically speaking, the word Gnosticism comes from the late Greek word mystikos, which means knowing or able to discern. Gnosticism can also be viewed from the Greek word gnosis, which means knowledge or insight. Broadly construed, however, Gnosticism refers to various early Christian sects that claimed direct personal knowledge beyond the gospel or the church hierarchy. Gnosticism flourished in the 1st century AD among Jewish and Christian sects. However, the exact origin of this school of thought cannot be ultimately traced, although it is possible to locate influences or
They know where it came from. That's a lie.
sources as far back as the 2nd and 1st centuries BCE, such as the early treatises of the Corpus Hermeticum, the Jewish apocalyptic writings, and especially Platonic philosophy and the Hebrew scriptures themselves.
Platonic philosophy is Plato. Greek. That's when it came on the scene. They know where it came from. It's when they merged Greek mysticism with our scriptures and with Egyptian Book of Deed.
Formally defined, Gnosticism is the belief that human beings contain a piece of God within themselves, which has fallen from the immaterial world into the bodies of humans.
See, right there. Has fallen from the immaterial world into the bodies of humans. Fallen angels. They put it in a slick way. Has fallen from the immaterial world into the body of humans.
Hence, the Gnostics put more emphasis on personal spiritual knowledge, gnosis, above the orthodox teachings, traditions, and authority of traditional religious institutions. Viewing material existence as flawed or evil, the Gnostics believe that knowledge must come from outside the material world, and the agent who brings it is the Savior or Redeemer. In fact, for the Gnostics,
let's look at that right quick. Okay. Let me get my book right quick. Yeah, these books trying to hide from me. Gotta give me a minute. Yeah, here you go. So it says right here in the book of Enoch, it says, okay, let me get it. Yeah, it says right here in chapter 7 of Enoch, it says, and all the others together with them took unto themselves wives. These are 200 angels, right? Each chose for himself one, and they began to go into them and to defile themselves with them. Then here goes verse 2, and they taught them. See, they taught them. That's what this gnosis is. It ain't the knowledge from the Most High, from those righteous angels. This knowledge came from those fallen angels. The Word, like I said in Genesis, John, the Word became flesh and came down and dwelt among men. In the beginning was the Word, gnosis. That's where all this coming from.
all physical matter is subject to decay, rotting, and death. Those bodies in the material world, created by an inferior being, are therefore evil. Trapped in the material world, But ignorant of its status, the pieces of God.
So these fallen angels came down, slept with women, then they found out they couldn't ascend back to heaven, trapped in this world.
Require knowledge, gnosis, to inform them of their true status. It is important to note that during the first 3 centuries of Christianity, there was no central authority until after the conversion of Roman Emperor Constantine the Great in 312 CE. Christian communities taught many different views. In the 2nd century CE, some groups, now collectively referred to as Gnostic Christians, claimed to have access to a secret knowledge about the nature of the universe, the nature of Christ, and what his appearance on earth meant to believers. In the middle of this,
okay, so this Christ that they mentioning right here, you assume that they're talking about the one in the New Testament, but when this all came about was when they came and they looked, the Egyptians looked in the sky and they worshiped the sun, and they personified the sun. They gave the sun human characteristics. When the Greeks came with philosophy and what they were dealing with Buddhism, they came and they took the sun out the sky and made a man out of it, the Christ, which later became the Christ in the New Testament. But they originally got there dealing with the Egyptian mystery system and all that. They personified the sun. Horus was the sun. Horus was the embodiment of the sun, Ra. So they came and they took him out the sky and made him the Christos. And then Isis was the mother, Mary, and Osiris was the father. That's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And Horus being the anointed one, which is later became, when the Greeks came, made him the Christos. That's the Black Madonna and Child that they always talking about, that the Pope and all them go in the secret room to worship. That's the original Christ and the original Holy Family. Isis is Mary, Horus is Jesus, and Osiris is the Father. So we're not talking about, but when all this was created, they weren't talking about what we know now. It's been revised and edited down to the day where it looked smooth. But this is how it started.
2nd century CE, a group of Christian leaders retroactively referred to as the Church Fathers, such as Justin Martyr, Irenaeus, and Tertullian, wrote volumes against these Gnostic.
What they talking about right here ain't the same Christianity today. And all these church fathers, this is what tripped me out about people say that they researching. All the church fathers that we already know they white. We already know they're European and Greek. They ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. These are church fathers.
Christians. It is equally important to note that the Gnostics, as well as the Church Fathers, were educated in the various schools of philosophy.
See that?
Many of the schools shared the theories of Plato and his view of the universe. For Plato, God, or the highest good, existed beyond the material universe, was perfect, and so would not have created an imperfect world. He posited the existence of a secondary power, the demiurge.
Let's look at that right quick. I'm gonna let it roll. So this from Plato's perspective. This what it eggs me. So this from Plato's perspective. What Plato think God is. Homosexuality embedded in the Greek culture. It started in the Greek culture and it's been there ever since. So when you quote this, you regurgitating this dude. This is what Plato say. That's what's in the New Testament, right here. And these so-called church fathers. That's all you regurgitate. It ain't got nothing to do with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our forefathers, and Noah, and Jared, and all them. It's these folks right here.
Who created matter, the substance of the physical realm. Most Gnostic systems promoted this view. Just like the modern school of philosophy known as existentialism, the Gnostics asked and addressed the following questions. Who am I?
Yeah, so now let's look at that. So it says the Gnostics asked and addressed these following questions. That's what Job doing. Right there, right there. The Greek philosophy. That's what Job doing. All the bullshit ass questions he asking the creator. There ain't no book that come from our forefathers.
Where did I come from? What is the meaning of life? Why am I here?
That's Greek philosophy.
And what is my true self? It is interesting to note that Gnostic writings are extensive. Many so-called Gnostic Gospels are presented as lost books of the Bible, but in fact did not meet the criteria when the canon was formed. In many instances, they contradict the Bible. In 1945, a vast library of Gnostic documents was discovered in Nag Hammadi, Egypt. Along with the writings of the early church fathers, these supplied the basic resources for reconstructing the Gnostic belief system. Core Gnostic beliefs. Gnostic beliefs clashed strongly with accepted Christian doctrine, causing early church leaders to be embroiled in heated debates over the issues. By the end of the 2nd century, many Gnostics broke away or were expelled from the church. As a result, they formed alternative churches with belief systems deemed heretical by the Christian church. While many variations in beliefs existed among the different Gnostic sects, the following key elements were seen as core Gnostic beliefs. On dualism, the Gnostics believed that the world was divided into
We know what dualism is. We know it's against God. Janus, with the man, 2 heads, faces on one head.
Physical and spiritual realms. The created, material world, matter, is evil, and therefore in opposition to the world of the spirit, and that only the spirit is good. Adherents of Gnosticism often constructed an evil, lesser god and beings of the Old Testament to explain the creation of the world, matter, and considered Jesus Christ a holy spiritual God. On God. Gnostic writings often describe God as incomprehensible and unknowable.
That's a lie.
This idea conflicts with Christianity's concept of a personal God who desires a relationship with human beings. Gnostics also separate the inferior God of creation from the superior God of redemption. On salvation. Gnosticism claims hidden knowledge as the basis for salvation. The Gnostics believe that secret revelation frees the divine spark within humans, allowing the human soul to return to the divine realm of light in which it belongs. The Gnostics, thus, divided Christians into 2 categories, with one group being carnal, the inferior one, and the other being spiritual, the superior one. And for the Gnostics, only the superior, divinely enlightened persons could comprehend the secret teachings and
this right here, what you're listening to now, this was the reason why we've been handling the way we are all over the world. Like I was telling you, these people know where they came from. They think we inferior to them. It ain't just the skin color. They think we in spirit. See, they saying right here, we can't even incorporate, understand scripture. It ain't for us to even understand the scripture.
Obtain true salvation. This is in contrast to the Christian belief that salvation is available to everyone, not just a special few, and that it comes from grace through faith in Jesus Christ, and not from study or works. On Jesus Christ. The Gnostics were divided on their beliefs about Jesus Christ. One view held that he only appeared to have human form, but that he was actually spirit only. The other view contended that his divine spirit came upon his human body at baptism and departed before the crucifixion.
So let's look at that. So here goes. This is where the problem lies right here. So I was telling you, these Gnostics came on the scene. These Greeks, Edomites and Greeks too, but they came on the scene. They came out of Buddhism. When they first got to the Middle East, into that region over there, over in that area, they was dealing with Buddhism. They was Buddhists. Then they started dealing with the Egyptian language, and they got Hotel records. That's how you get the Gnostics. Then when Constantine came on the scene, he the one concocted all this baptism and all this, concocted JC. So he hijacked the Gnostics. He hijacked them and he stole their religion. And that's who the people that's being killed in the catacombs. They're killing off all these Gnostics because they stole their religion. They stole it, hijacked it, and that's where they stuck JC in that and flipped it all around. And so these are the people that's being killed that they're telling you about, that they're saying Christians in the beginnings of Christianity, that the Christians were being killed. No, that's Constantine, the Roman Empire hijacked them. Constantine needed a religion. After he got control of the Roman Empire again, the beast that was and was not, but still is. Once he revived it and got it back on his feet, he needed a religion to unify it. So he went to and stole the Gnosticism from the Gnostics. And he killed all the Gnostics. He killed them all. Yeah.
But they weren't good people anyway, though, right?
Yeah, it's two evils.
Mm-hmm.
Two different evils. Okay.
On the other hand, holds that Jesus was fully man and fully God, and that his human and divine natures
the
were
Gnostics,
both present
when
and
you look, I don't understand what they're saying to you right here. See, they're saying Jesus, but the Nazis I told you, the ones created the Christ. They took the sun out the sky and made a Christ, made a man out of it. That was the original Christos. That was Horus. So then when they came with Christianity and with JC, which was inspired by Caesarion, they killed Caesarion and then he ain't rise. But a coda rose behind that, a following rose behind it. And anyway, so then you get this right here. They come on the scene with this Jesus Christ, usurping what the Nazis believe, with the divine triad with the Christ, the Black Madonna and Child.
necessary to provide a suitable sacrifice for humanity's sin. Gnostic rituals. Gnostic Christians were baptized, and they participated in the Eucharist or
That's out of
communion.
Egypt.
Gnostics did try to promote female ministers in the Eucharistic celebration, bringing them into disagreement with.
So we see that right here. What I'm just telling you, what we see in the Bible, who the ministers was, the Levites. See the Gnostics bringing in women. See right here, this is where it started at. And then from here, Christian, when the Greeks got hold to it, they brought it in. This is what the drum is. Everything we doing is what they concocted. We ain't doing nothing our fathers was doing.
The Church Fathers. The most controversial of Gnostic ritual was the bridal chamber, where one attained Christhood. In the Gnostic document, Exegesis of the Soul, the language and metaphors of marriage were applied in a union with Christ. The schools of philosophy taught that one should care for the soul over the body, or apatheia, which means no passions, not letting the physical urges of the body rule one's life. Such teachings were construed as ascesis, or discipline, as an athletic disciplining of the body. Gnostic Christians took control of the body literally. In fact, they were the first to.
That's what I was telling you about. You probably ain't paying attention to it, but once you get this information and get a better picture and understand what's going on, that's why all the pictures on Jesus on the cross, he poor and skinny, showing his ribs. He ain't got no. He's skinny as hell because they was starved themselves. It wasn't like when Daniel fasted and prayed. They starved themselves. He come out of Buddhism and Greek philosophy. They starved themselves. They was called cynics. They starved themselves to death. Don't eat nothing. That's what the Buddha was doing.
To practice celibacy, that is, not entering into a marriage contract, as well as chastity, that is, never indulging in sexual intercourse.
See? That's crazy.
In this way, the traditional life cycle was broken, and no more divine sparks would be trapped in a physical body. A small minority of Gnostic sects may have taken the opposite view. As part of the evil physical world, governments, man-made laws, and social conventions were no longer valid. Several church fathers claimed that this led to sexual immorality. We cannot confirm such practices, but by the 18th century CE, these groups were labeled libertines after the publication of the writings of the French philosopher, the Marquis de Sade.
So let's make it plain. Let's make it real plain. Okay. I'm in Daniel chapter 8. I told you how when the Greeks came on the scene at the end of the Greek kingdom is when Antiochus came, and then he said he introduced practices that was foreign to the Israelites, right? So let's look at it. That's what they're doing in the Qumran caves. They Gnostics. So let's look at it. Josephus. Okay. Look at it. Chapter 8. Let me get it. Okay, says chapter 8, verse 24 says, and talking about the Antichrist, in which he only doing what his forefathers did. So it says, and his power will be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, and he shall prosper, practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. How he destroyed the holy people? They had them doing stuff they wasn't foreign, practices they wasn't supposed to be doing. So anyway, 25, and through his policies, what we're looking at, these policies, also he caused craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he will be broken by hand. So this is what they started when the Greeks came. This is where all this coming from. Everything we're dealing with today comes from here. They got you think it's coming from the Old Testament, from the Tanakh.
It is important to note that while the church fathers deplored the Gnostics, they nevertheless absorbed the concept of celibacy for the clergy. By doing so, it was understood as a living sacrifice.
Okay, yeah, so that's it. Incoming.
Shalom.
Okay.
I want to get, some understanding because, after you brought this out last night, I had to do some research because I wanted to get a better understanding, right?
Okay.
So basically, this knowledge that they're talking about is total evil knowledge, right? And am I on the right path here?
Right. It's the same knowledge that Enoch telling you the fallen angels taught to mankind.
Okay.
As long as Israel was in the land of Canaan, ruling, that knowledge was superior. But the Most High got rid of the Israelites. That's when this knowledge came to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
The Greeks brought it.
Got it. Okay. Which all ties back to JC because the research that I was doing is that the Gnostics, right, is saying that JC is the true God over the creator, God, right? So it's saying that everything that our creator did, they're trying to say that was evil.
Right. Exactly.
I was reading that too, yes.
And so when you understand that right there, that's what the New Testament doing too. That Negroes can't get. JC is doing all the opposites of what our forefathers was doing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So true. Yeah. I was just, pointing out some information that I was researching because it's just so much out there. And so I just, wanted to simplify it in my understanding to make sure that, I'm getting this correctly.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So another thing about that, like I said, once you understand, you got to put it in a time frame when it happened. So these same 500 years they talking about from Daniel 9:25, from 5 years, the in between the texts, what they talking about in between the Old and New Testament is these 500 years. That's the same 500 years JC was at. This is when Gnosticism came on the scene. It's when JC came to life during the same time. It's when the Israelites left. That's when they brought all this on the scene, but they didn't wipe that out. They wiped that out just by telling you that JC it was prophesied in Daniel 9:25, and 500 years later he showed up on the scene. They killing all this information just by saying that. That's my thing. I keep on talking about how people you can't go from what all the stuff that Noah and Jared and all them did and jump from that to the New Testament, hollering about Jesus this and Jesus that, and you are not applying none of the stuff our forefathers that the Most High used to lay the foundation for our understanding of who He is and what happened. You can't jump from Matthew and go to you can't jump from Isaiah and jump to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and skip all this information in between there. But that's what they done when they set this up. They eliminated this type of information right here. Like I said, you got 16 crucified saviors, got the same characteristics that JC got. They taught at 12 years old. Horus taught at 12 years old in the temple, teaching all the older men. Horus came in and turned the water into wine in front of the Egyptians. Mithras did the same thing. Dionysus, he the last one. He the last one. All that's tied to what these fallen angels taught. It came all the way down to that. It's him. That's who he is. He ain't no different than them. But how many people know anything about 16 crucified saviors and all this stuff that happened that led up to him coming on the scene? That Israel had to be destroyed. In order for JC to come on the scene, Israel had to be destroyed. So how in the hell he coming from Israel?
Right.
Come on. Mm. Yeah. Anybody else got anything on that? Yeah, so you just Google that. You can get that book I was showing. It's called Gnosticism. It's got actually a Bible, the Gnostic Bible. The guy was talking about on the video that they just like they found the Dead Sea Scrolls over in the Qumran caves. They uncovered a bunch of scrolls, Gnostic scrolls too, called the Nag Hammon. They got a Bible, a Gnostic Bible, with all these what they believed and what they had wrote down. Like I said, they said it was a woman in the beginning, Sophia. That's all. Like I said, Christianity is all these ideologies combined together. That's why we don't know nothing about them, because they used them. So they don't want you to know the source of where they came from.
So a long time ago when they were talking about the Nicaea, it was sort of like a documentary where they were talking about even during that time, after they put together the Bible, that they did that around that time too. Is that connected, or is that different thing?
It's all connected. Right. Yeah. And all we've been witnessing ever since then is them fine-tuning it.
Yeah.
They just been fine-tuning and reviving it. Because the more we wake up, then they got to come in and reword it and redo it, come up with a new Bible, new living Bible, Gideon Bible, all this. Every time we start breaking it down, they come with some more stuff.
Right.
Usurp it. Yeah.
Yeah, I never that the way to put it today, but yeah, when I was saying, killing all of these other religions because they called them heretics.
Right.
And they didn't want, but now it really actually makes more sense that they were trying to conceal some of the things that was contradicting what they were saying.
Right. Because they actually had these people religion. Right. And then they sitting there looking at it. They talking about marry this and marry that, and they saying, no, this is all the this coming from from our religion. So they went in an uproar. So Constantine came in with and killed them all, killed all the Nazis off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw.
Right.
Shalom. After doing my research and we was on Clubhouse here a while back, and you were having a conversation with some people in reference to wisdom, right? And
Right.
they were saying in Proverbs 8, right, that
Right.
wisdom was a she.
Right.
So I done some research on that too. So that's when they are tying Sophie into
Right.
Proverbs 8 as that
Right.
she
Right.
for wisdom, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
so yes, and I was like, wow, you
Yeah.
just kind of go back and replay so much in your head, and it leads, to other layers, in this.
Right.
So yeah, that was part of the research that came up, and you was bringing up Sophie, and I was like, okay, so that is the she that they're putting in Proverbs 8 that a lot of people argue about, saying that she is wisdom.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
so and another way to track that too was why is Esau, the Most High told us that you follow a house, the man got the house, and follow the seed through the man. So why is Esau saying that he followed his lineage through the woman? Because that's where he got it. He went and got those giant sons. He married them giant women to get those giant sons. So he followed his lineage through the woman. So what about the fallen angels? What they do? Well, how they get tricked off? They came down there messing with women.
Woman. Yeah.
They let the women get them side. They sons of God. They came down and got tricked off by the women. So that's where the woman worship coming from. The Israelites know better. That's where all that's coming from. Like I said, go to the New Testament when it's 12 men with him for 3 years. But when he died and go down to in the earth for 3 days and come back, when he come back, it's 5 Marys there. 5 Marys standing at the tomb. Ain't the 12 disciples they throwed off. Mary got to go tell them that he done risen. All that's tied to that. But if you don't understand what has happened in the past, you won't see all that. But that's what all that is. And then they got homosexuality all engraved in it. Like the older male, like I said, the dualism is this god called Janus. One side is face. He got 2 faces. One is an older male, and the back one is the younger male. That's homosexuality. The older male with the beard and the younger male. So John and Jesus with the beard, John the young boy. He the youngest out of the 12 disciples. He always in all the pictures laying all up on Jesus. All this, they put it all in there and subliminally, you ain't getting it. And then he say, Lazarus. He called Lazarus out the tomb. All his clothes fall off. Hell, what you got to put that in there for? He called him out of the grave, and he come out the grave, all his clothes fall off. And then he said, and Lazarus will remain with him there the rest of the night. But we ain't trying to get none of that. But it's like playing a violin to them. They know exactly what it's saying. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Shalom. And when you bring it into the present day and the reality of it, they're
Right.
trying to make things happen like you talked about last night about the earthquake and
Right.
the divide of the different countries and the wars. They trying to make their prophecy come to
Right.
light. If they can't get you by staying in the word with it, they'll it's that saying, I show you better than I can tell you.
Right. Exactly.
Start showing you these things.
Right. With
Yeah.
technology. Technology in the choir. Because that's where it's coming from, the same what Enoch telling you about. It's coming from these fallen angels. That's where all this coming from. They still dealing with them. It's a remnant. And all this information and stuff coming, they bringing it to the past because now they got the technology to make these things happen. Like I said, with the Project Bluebeam, they got, waiting on their opportunity to do it. They want to project Jesus in the sky, coming back on the clouds in the sky, and Negroes gonna go crazy when they see it. Okay, let me play this right here. Then we go into I read Deuteronomy.
The famous Last Supper painting of Jesus and his disciples, right? Obviously, and the picture of the so-called Jesus himself. Don't mind me using that word, so-called Jesus, because there's a lot of rumors around, a lot of sayings that there are iotas of truth in it. Like I say, nothing just come out of nowhere. There are reasons why things are said. There are reasons why things are done. Don't just think that things happen in this life or things happen to you just coincidentally. Everything has been ordained to be. Everything has been planned to be, and it happens the way the Creator wants it to happen. All right, let's dive right into it, because the effect of the brainwashing that we talk about, the supremacist plan. I think if you've not watched other videos, maybe you're missing. Just try and go back and check out some of the videos we talk about the supremacist idea and the agenda. Sorry. Now, the main aim of the supremacist is control.
AG1 Violet Greens gives you the daily nutrients that.
Leonardo da Vinci was commissioned to paint a significant work of art that depicted Jesus Christ and his 12 apostles. This painting would later become known as The Last Supper. This was a time when the world was a vastly different place. This painting has had a brainwashing impact on the world and become a significant tool used in colonialism till this day. In fact, many Black people around the world continue to hold on to the original painting of The Last Supper. History unveiled that Leonardo da Vinci used his uncle to pose as Jesus Christ. 12 criminals from a local jail were used as models for the 12 apostles. This decision to use criminals as models is not uncommon in art history. The image of the Last Supper became a tool used by colonial powers to assert their dominance over the people they sought to conquer and control. The whole world is run on bluff. No race, no nation, no man has any divine right to take advantage of others.
The first officially documented painting of a Jesus the Christ was done in 1492 under Pope Alexander VI, also called Rodrigo Borgia. His illegitimate son, Cesare Borgia, was having a sexual affair with the Renaissance artist named Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was the one who painted the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper. He was working closely with the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, to achieve white supremacy. Leonardo da Vinci, being a painter, painted image of his lover, Cesare Borgia. Now, this image was the image that the Catholic Church endorsed, as in upon, to be the official painting, the official image of Jesus Christ. In other words, in our parents' houses, many of them have the image, the picture of a homosexual who claim to be the image of Jesus Christ.
I think I keep saying this here on this channel that a lot of things you know to be true are lies. And by day, the Creator keep giving us evidences. By day, the Creator keep giving us answers, both in everything that we do, but most of the times we try not to listen because we are so much preoccupied with all this. We are preoccupied with things we shouldn't preoccupy our minds and our souls with. We corrupt them with most of these things. There are some rituals that, even if you are not involved in it, but for the fact that you believe in something that was used for the ritual, there is this tie that they've tied you to, then it's like you're partaking in the ritual.
Baptism.
So the energy around you will be energy that is polluted, energy that is not of the Creator, energy that is not of divinity. And that is exactly what they do to everybody. They try to tie us into something so that we don't even reason anymore. It's not your fault. It's not your fault that you are not getting it. It's not your fault that you are not trying. Even when you try sometimes, maybe you need to put more effort anyway. It's not your fault that you feel the way you feel, or you know, understand things in life the way you do. It's the way they want, the way they position their mind through the things they created. And they make it so available to everybody to have it. Now, when we're talking about the painting of a holy picture, the story surrounding Leonardo da Vinci, his uncle, the one he painted, right? And the father of this same man, right? That his father should be, he was later Pope Alexander the Sixth. Now, I'm going to leave some right up here. It's so, I can't say with my mouth because it's so appalling, like, it's so, I don't know. I'm going to leave it here so you read it yourself. Try to read that. Now, the story around this set of people is not a story that morally is okay. Moral-wise, the story surrounding these people are not okay.
Yeah, so what it's saying is, it says, according to the history of Alexandria, he forced his children to have sex while he sat in mass, self whatever, watching them, and then he had sex with his children, and some of his children had kids for him. So it's the guy, the picture that they got out that we, back in the day had on our wall. A lot of people still got it, but this guy, this is what he was doing right here. What she's saying. So that's what you bring into your house. When you bring that image in your house, that's the spirit you bring into the house. That's how they operate. Just like I said with baptism, pharaohs are getting baptized. Baptism ain't got nothing to do with us. And then they want what they use to make you think that baptism is good is that he says that Moses, the Israelites were baptized in the Red Sea when they went to the Red Sea. But it tells you in the scriptures, they went through. He split the water, and the Israelites went through on dry land, dry shod. And nobody got wet. Baptism means getting wet. Baptismo. That's where it comes from. So scriptures tell you the Israelites went through on dry ground, dry shod. So that's how they operate. Any comments on that? Anything before we go into I'm gonna read Deuteronomy? Anybody got any questions? Okay. Yeah, I'm in Deuteronomy chapter 1. It says, "These be the words which Moses spake unto all of Israel on the side of Jordan, in the wilderness and plains over against the Red Sea, between Paran and Tafal and Laban and Hazareth, and these are I can say that word. These are 11 days journey from Horeb by the way of the Mount Seir until Kadesh Barnea. And it came to pass in the 14th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spake unto the children of Israel according to all that the Lord had given unto him in commandments unto them, after he had slain Sidon, the king of the Amorites, which dwelt in Hebron, and Og, the king of Bashan, which dwelt in Ashtaroth, in Indra, right? So let's look at that. I want to show you something. We was dealing with this prophecy, this 400-year prophecy, right? Yeah, we dealt with it a couple of weeks ago, but every chance I get, I try to bring this up. So I'm in Genesis chapter 15, right? So this is the prophecy. It's a prophecy. It was 400-year prophecy, right? So I'm gonna read it. It says, starting at verse 7. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give thee the land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, take me a heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another, but the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcass, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years, right? And they're saying that that's happening over here in America, right? 14, and also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. Then 15, and thou shalt go to thy fathers. Moses gonna go to thy fathers in peace, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. Now watch this right here. Verse 16. Nobody reads this. But in the fourth generation they shall come here again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. The Amorites, right? You see that? Everybody see that?
Yes.
Now watch this. I told you about how you write a divide. The angel come, how the man get a vision, the angel come. The angel bring the vision. Go to Amalek when he had took Sarah. Then he said that night Amalek got in the bed and had a dream. How he have a dream? The angel came and entered into him and gave him a dream. So you have the angel, you have a dream. The angel bring the vision or the dream. Then the angel come and give you the interpretation of it. And then after you get the interpretation, it come to pass. So we saw right here that Abraham went into a deep sleep. He had his vision, and then he says that the time of this is not yet full, right? Right? But it haven't came to pass yet, because it don't say it came to pass. So now we're in Deuteronomy, right? Chapter I just read, I'm in verse 4. Let me see. Let me get it. Yeah, verse 3. Deuteronomy 1 and 3. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, now look at this. Remember over there in Genesis 15, he had a dream, and then he got the interpretation, but it didn't come to pass. So verse 3, and it came to pass. See that? And it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spake unto the children of Israel, according to all that the Lord had given him in commandments unto them. Then here you go. And after he had slain the king of the Amorites, see that? They wasn't fooled over there, but they came to the end right here. After he had slain Shinar, king of the Amorites, which dwells in Hezron, and the king of Bashan, here Amorite. See that? Which dwells in Ashur. So Genesis chapter 15 came to pass right here. When Moses and them killed the Amorites. The time of the Amorites wasn't full when Moses had the dream and the vision. But it came to pass right here. Okay? Let that ferment. Anyway, so verse 5 says, and on this side of the Jordan, in the land of Moab, began Moses to declare this law, saying, the Lord our God spake unto us in Horeb, saying, ye have dwelt long enough in this mount. Turn you and take your journey and go to the mount of the Amorites. See that? And unto all the places nigh thereunto, in the plains and in the hills and in the vale and in the and in the south by the sea, into the land of the Canaanites, and unto Lebanon, and to the great river, the Euphrates. So let's look at that. This tied to the prophecy too, right here. Verse 7. Turn you, take your journey and go into the mount of the Amorites. That's tied to the vision, and unto the places nigh unto thee, in the plains, in the hills, in the vale. What veil? Let's look at it. Okay. Go to Genesis 14. Genesis chapter 14. Starting at verse 14 and 1. And it came to pass. See that? It came to pass in the days of Armathal. That's Nimrod. His name been changed. King of Shinar, Arak, king of Elzar, Carlamander, king of Elam, Tidal of the nations, that these made war with Berkel of Sodom, and with Berkel, king of Gomorrah, Shinar, king of Adamah, and Sheminder, king of Zebulun, and king of Bela, which is in Zorah. Here you go right here. And these were joined together in the Vale of Siddim. There go the veil right there. So what's the Vale of Siddim? That's where all these Amorites at. They're all giants. This I told you about the 1,000-man or 100,000 man giant war. This is how the Most High got rid of most of the giants. He brought the flood and got rid of a bunch of them, but they still were giants in the earth after the flood. This is how most of them he turned them in against each other in this veil right here. This is where all of them was at. The Amorites, most of them Amorites, in verse 3. And these were joined together in the Vale of Siddim, which is at the South Sea. So we go back over here to Deuteronomy, where we was at. It's the veil he's talking about right there. I just showed you. So he says, verse 7, turn you, this is Deuteronomy 1:7. Turn you and take your journey and go to the mount of the Amorites. Yeah, that take you right to Genesis 15. And unto all the places nigh into the plains, in the hills, in the vale, and in the south, and by the seaside, to the land of the Canaanites, and unto Lebanon, and to the great river, the Euphrates. Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore unto your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give unto them and to their seed after them. And I spake unto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. The Lord your God have multiplied you, and behold, ye are this day as the stars of heaven for a multitude. So here go the prophecy I told you when I was showing you over in Jasher. So he completed that prophecy that he gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're going to be as the sands of the sea. Right here. The Lord your God have multiplied you, and behold, ye are this day as the stars of heaven for a multitude. So that he completed that prophecy. 11. The Lord God of your fathers make you 1,000 times as many more as you are, and bless you as he have promised you. How can I myself alone bear your cumbrance and your burden and your strife? Take you wise men and understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. And ye answered me and said, the thing which thou hast spoken is good for us to do. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men, and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, captains over 50s, captains over tens, and officers among your tribe. And I charge your judges at that time, saying, here are the causes between your brethren, and judge righteously between every man and his brother, and the stranger that is with you. And ye shall not separate yourselves in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great, and ye shall not be afraid of the face of a man, for the judgment is God's. And the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. And I commanded you at that time all the things which ye shall do. And when we departed from Horeb, we went through all that great and terrible wilderness which ye saw by the way of the mountains of the Amorites. There you go again. As the Lord our God commanded us, and we came to Kadesh Barnea. And I said unto you, ye are come unto the mountain of the Amorites, which the Lord our God did give unto us. Behold, the Lord thy God hath set thy land before thee. So go up and possess it, as the Lord God of thy fathers have said unto thee. Fear not, neither be discouraged. And ye came near unto me, every one of you, and said, we will send men before us, and they shall search us out the land and bring us word again by what way we must go up, and into what city we should come. And the same pleased me well, and I took 12 men of you, one of a tribe. And they turned and went up in the mountains and came unto the valley of Escar and searched it out. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hands and brought it down unto us and brought us word again and said, it is good land which the Lord our God doeth give us. Notwithstanding, ye would not go up, but rebelled against the commandments of the Lord your God. And ye murmured in your tents and said, because the Lord hated us, ye have brought us forth out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the land of the Amorites, to destroy us. Whether should we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our hearts, saying the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of Anakim there. Then I said unto you, dread not, neither be afraid of them. The Lord your God, which goeth before you, he shall fight for you according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes, and in the wilderness, where ye have seen how that the Lord thy God bore thee, as a man doeth bear his son, in all the way that he went until ye came into this place. Yet in this thing ye did not believe the Lord your God, who went in the way before you to search you out a place to pitch your tents in fire by night, and to show you by what way you should go, and in a cloud by day. And okay, it says, and the Lord heard the voice of your words, and was wroth and swore, saying, surely there shall not one of these men of this evil generation see that good land which I swore to give unto your fathers. Say Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, he shall see it, and to him will I give the land that he hath trodden upon, and to his children, because he hath wholly followed the Lord. Also the Lord was angry with me for your sake, saying, thou also shalt not go in thither. But Joshua, son of Nun, who standeth before thee, he shall go in thither. Encourage him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. Moreover, your little ones, which ye said should be a prey, and your children, which in that day had no knowledge between good and evil, they shall go in thither, and unto them will I give it, and they shall possess it. But as for you, turn you and take your journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. Then ye answered and said unto me, we have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight according to all that the Lord our God commanded us. And when ye have girded on every man his weapon of war, ye were ready to go up unto the hill. And the Lord said unto me, say unto them, go not up, neither fight, for I am not among you, lest ye be smitten before your enemies. So I spake unto you, and ye would not hear, but rebelled against the commandments of the Lord, and went presumptuously up into the hill. And the Amorites, which dwelt in that mountain, came out against you, chased you as bees do, and destroyed you in Seir, even unto Hormah. And ye returned and wept because of the Lord. But the Lord would not hearken unto your voice, nor give ear unto you. So he abode in Kadesh many days according unto the day. So ye abode in Kadesh many days according to the days that ye abode there. So that was Deuteronomy chapter 1. Okay. Anybody got any comments on what I read, what we talked about? Is that making any sense? Okay. No comments? Okay. Everybody good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So like I was saying, you get the opportunity, check out some of that those videos on Gnosticism and get a better understanding on how Christianity came into existence. Because that's of the utmost importance. Okay. Okay. We say shalom, everybody. Enjoy I see everybody tomorrow. I think I'm gonna go to Clubhouse tomorrow night. See how that pop off at 8 o'clock.
Shalom.
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 Shalom.